Welcome back to the table, friends. I am your humble host, GreyDMs, and with me, as always, my co-host and co-conspirator, Owen.
Hello.
You are listening to Tabletop by Night, a weekly podcast where we continue our exploration of Vampire the Masquerade. And tonight we gather around the table to answer the question, is your art really worth dying for? Now, it's a first for you listeners. In a rather surprising turn of events, we have a guest on with us as we tackle the depths of Clan Toreador today. So Owen has brought a friend of his.
Yes, this is Dahlia. She listened to some of our previous podcasts, and she wanted to get in on the fun on this one, so I invited her for one.
So we have a listener. This is proof that we have listeners.
Of course.
That's really it's great to meet you. We've we've had a few minutes to kind of greet each other, and I'm looking forward to getting some of your takes on our Clan Toreador. So have you played Vampire before?
Yes, once or twice.
Oh, cool. Well, hey, we'll look for any insights that you may have from your games. It'd be great. Okay, so before we get started, I would like to say the third army is almost in the bag. So that's 3.
Nice.
Pretty cool. Yep, I know some of you are going to be probably like thinking back that was 6 sessions ago that I mentioned that we did some 40K stuff. Miniature painting kind of ran into a slump there, but Owen hooked me up with some really great energy drinks, and I started pounding that stuff out.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you really liked those.
They're awesome. A little addicting. I do need some more, though, because I got to finish things up, and they really help me out.
Hey, no problem. I'll get you some more tomorrow.
Sweet. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Where'd you find those again? Asian?
Yeah, Asian.
Okay. Yeah, no, they're really good. I really appreciate it. Yeah, they've helped me kind of wrap up the Tyranids pretty well. So I can't wait till our Tyranid player gets to check out his minions for the first
check out the army you made for him.
And present the horde in front of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had some pretty good nights putting them together. I'm going to do a clear coat on them. Sleeping a little later, but how do you think for the craft?
Got to be careful. You can't work yourself too hard.
Yeah. So speaking of dying for your art, tonight we're going to explore the Clan of Toreador, the Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Who can get more pretentious.
I think
that sounds kind of nice.
One side of the table's a deeply Nosferatu fanboy, maybe a little bit. Double grown. That's pretty
cool. I am open to all clans mostly equally. There's just some that I look down on.
Some that are just better.
There are some that are just better. That is right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to kick off our discussion, we'll try to quote the Chronicles of Nod, the Book of Nod, and we have a little quote here about the Toreador. In quiet, you will know beauty. In beauty, you will know truth. In truth, you will know love. And in love, you will know quiet. Beautiful children, beautiful creations. Gold is not as precious. Honey is not as sweet. Milk is not as pure. Like the tiger, you bite. Like the hawk, you dive. Like the cat, you stalk. Beautiful predators, sweet succubi, daring incubi, taste virgin's blood and find bliss. Find your greatest part of joy, follow your greatest part of joy, and know that I watch you enthralled, my children, my creations, my beautiful ones.
Oh.
Sorry. Pretentious?
Rather
I mean,
poetic.
Yeah, I mean, anything can be poetic, I suppose.
So the Toreador, the Toreador?
Wow. The Toreador crew.
I mean, I'm sure the Toreador would appreciate the Corridor crew's.
Yeah, those vampire. Wow, I couldn't get to it.
Use your words.
Those vampire After Effects wizards, the Toreador crew.
Yeah.
So the Clan of Roses, also sometimes known as the Artisans, the Aesthetes, the Vanitas, I think that works, the Epicureans, the Degenerates, the Tories, and the Bullfighters.
The Bullfighters. That one doesn't really fit.
Actually, yes, it's quite funny. So Toreador comes from a Spanish play and opera. Sorry. Wow. See, we have an expert in the audience. And It is an expansion on the Spanish term for bullfighter, because they wanted something that had more syllables to fit into the operatic stance stuff. So they just kind of co-opted that into the lore.
I see.
So the clan of degenerates are responsible for the legends of vampires who seduce and entice their prey with beauty, love, and sensuality.
Giving everybody a bad name.
Famous and infamous as a clan of artists and innovators, they are one of the bastions of the Camarilla, as their very survival depends on the facades of civility and grace on which the sect prides itself. So, what is the life of a Toreador? So, they're going to have the disciplines of Auspex, Celerity, and Presence. So, we've pretty much gone over all three of those now. So, we can safely say that a Toreador is going to access to supernatural speed, the ability to see beyond, and the ability to make sure everybody sees them.
Of course.
So, yeah, they're really good at stuff.
They're really good at stuff.
So, let's go back to the beginning, as we did with most of the other clans. It is said that the clan's founder, Arikel, once again, one of the many mythos that start the Toreador history, was a moral painter and or sculptress in the first city, the city of Enoch.
Yeah.
Famed throughout the lands for her work, after her embrace, she painted a mural on which the past, present, and future of kindred society was depicted.
Wow, that's some talent.
When Cain saw a terrible future for his race, he cursed her with the affliction that affects all Toreador today. The art that she loved most dearly would now be her obsession and distraction above all things.
See, that's how I think we should treat all artists, you know. It's like you make something stupid, like, here's my white canvas, you know, oh, look on its beauty in my art. And it's just like, I curse you.
Well, just because you didn't like what you saw, does that
Everybody's
really
a critic.
Well, if like an artist doesn't produce enthralling art, are they already cursed to not get food?
Society, I mean, it is starving artist. I mean, they did make a term for it on its own.
Society kind of sorts that out.
But I mean, by the sounds of it, she made something beautiful and amazing, and he's just like, I fucking hate it. You're cursed.
Yeah, that's one of the variations. I know that some of the records state that she's the oldest in the antediluvians, when her twin was Malkov.
Oh my, that's some twisted bit going on there.
We'll go into some of that lore later on, but let's just say that the line between artist and insanity is thin. So legend says that she served as Cain's blossom in the first city, where she sculpted many statues in the Cain's hold, or his temple, whatever you want to call it. Alternately known as Arikel, the sculptor, or Ishtar, the bull dancer. Either way, the antediluvian that founded Clan Toreador, the clan of blossoms, and the clan that's known today as the Clan of the Rose. Another version of the story tells of Arikel and Troy, which is known as the not antediluvian, but the fifth generation who consumed Bruja, took its place. Were troubled by the way Cainites of the first city behaved and turned to Salute for aid, the Salubri. The healer said that only empathy would help them retain a link to humanity, and so both of them went to work on a project of art that spanned 101 years. Wow. Before they brought it before Cain. The work inspired exactly those emotions within the audience they had inspired in their mortal population, and Cain was deeply touched by it, calling both of them to his side and forgiving them of their past transgressions.
No.
Oh. That's the curse,
So, the opera Carmen is where Toreador comes from. That's the specific opera. From the Spanish Torero. Gotcha. More talents. Pronunciation of words that I cannot pronounce.
There are many.
Of course, the opera is best known for Carmen and the titular character, and for her desire to be admired and for her ability to manipulate the other characters in the opera. So, of course, the Toreador are the clan of artists and manipulators.
Well, that's one way of putting it, yeah.
Swayers of public opinion. Sure. No artist is ever meant to sway people's fates.
I mean, we want to instill emotions and new ideas, yes. don't know if I call that manipulation.
It's the peanut gallery's hated.
I have nothing to add to this. I think it's just fine. It's just fine.
So I guess we can talk about how the Toreador choose their future childer. So there are two rough molds that clan members fall into. The first hand would be artists. So the sire or potential sire in question has found someone who has produced something of beauty or meaning or substance to the point where they feel that they must immortalize this by taking the artist itself and dragging them through immortality.
Inviting them in.
Inviting them.
It's a pleasant way to describe a pretty horrific act.
Is that in your notes? The invitation to embrace?
I don't see that one, but interesting.
He doesn't see that in there, Dahlia.
So the other side could be businessmen, critics, performers, whatever, but they are people that have captivated the sire as they themselves are the beauty or the art with which they want to make immoral. So Toreador sires are notoriously capricious, and while the subject of their embrace can be the most cutting edge and the most innovative and the most beautiful, but the most now, they can easily be terribly passé and embarrassing in the following week. So the sires can inevitably dump the new childer as soon as it's feasible, leaving the young vampire confused and struggling to make their own way. Such is the nature of the Clan of Roses.
Sounds a bit fickle to me.
Well, you need to stay relevant.
I mean, we have our previous clan, the Nosferatu. They take their children, and it sounds like they do some homeschooling with them for several years. And the Toreador, on the other hand, are just like, oh, you know what? Opinions have changed on what you've created. And, turns out, there might be some, political backlash for what you painted on that mural the other day. And now you've got some conservatives that are very concerned.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I, classify the Nosferatu as homeschooling. Home torture, maybe?
Hey, school.
I mean, most the Toreador are just allowing the childer to learn from their mistakes to improve
What
themselves.
What mistake did they make?
Becoming passé. I mean,
the worst sin of all.
It's the embodiment of the clan right there.
Oh,
yeah, very impressive. Interesting. So let's get to some of the traits of the clan. As you could guess, any idea the clan Bane?
I don't irrelevancy.
Aesthetic fixation. So the Toreador exemplify the old saying that art in the blood takes strange forms. They desire beauty so intensely that they suffer in its absence. So in game terms, if your character finds yourself in less than beautiful surroundings, they actually suffer a penalty to their dice equal to their bane. Pretty funny.
So they're definitely not going down in the sewers to talk to
It's pretty much the worst situation. Well, it's kind of funny. The Nosferatu and the Toreador are they have this kind of weird back and forth where they are kind of like two dark fates that could befall someone, because you could see someone who is maybe noticed by both of them,
right? Who
is very artistic or basically in beautiful and like the source of beauty, and one of them wants to preserve that, the other one wants literally to drag it through the blood. It's like, which one gets there first?
I mean, I'm assuming you really want to go with the one who will preserve you.
I'm pretty sure that they would want that too.
I think the rub here is that they don't really get that choice in the matter. It just nature takes its course. Whoever gets to you first. But I just find it hilarious that technically Toreador's greatest weakness could be a group of people in clashing colors. My stars.
I can't deal with this. I can't deal with the faux pas. I just can't deal with this.
I mean, if they were going to be in a group together, they should have known that they needed to have matching colors, or at least not clashing ones.
Is that white? It's after Labor Day.
Oh, include that here too. A little bit. Okay. Parking. My nose, good to me.
Still on your face?
It's still there. That's
All
good. Definitely rules out the Clan Toreador tip.
Well, I mean, their nose would still be on their face too. It just might not necessarily be in the middle of their face.
It could be another body part. So the other side of their bane is their compulsion. And that is obsession, enrapturing by beauty. The vampire becomes temporarily obsessed with a singular gorgeous thing, able to think of nothing else. They have to pick one feature, such as a person, a song, an artwork, a blood splatter, or even a sunrise. In rapture, the vampire can hardly take their attention from it, and if spoken to, they can only talk about that subject, like waffles. Beautiful waffles.
So how often does that enrapture become a sunrise?
Well, I guess there's a lot of Toreador that probably have very short, brilliant lives, I guess. And
Dahlia, have you ever seen a sunrise so beautiful you'd risk your own life for it?
No.
Okay. Just
not
checking.
Outside of the canvas.
So I guess we can circle back a little bit because we haven't talked about, did we talk about Auspex with Tremere?
We did.
Not Celerity, though.
No, we did not really talk. Well, not with Tremere. Venture, though.
Venture don't have Celerity.
Oh, I thought Venture did have
Venture had Fortitude.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So we did talk about presence with the Venture, the Toreadors, the act to use the bullet's compulsion to draw everybody's attention to themselves.
It's a chippy.
I'm not going to argue there. So Celerity is basically the vampiric ability to call upon the power of the blood and gain supernatural grace and speed. So anywhere from the vampire basically automatically passing balance checks, dodging gunfire, to adding their celerity to dexterity checks. So things that we do outside of combat, to eventually the classic interview with the vampire, like turn your back there on the other side of the room, blinking.
The Batman escape.
The Batman escape. Kind of like presence, vampires that are well versed in celerity can grant it upon other people by giving them their blood. And then finally they have the one of the gamiest but most delicious abilities where the vampire is so fast they can actually supersede the story's narration and perform an action that only requires a few seconds, like getting through a door before it closes. So you'd be like, excuse me, I did that before you even which is kind of crazy. So coupled with that,
Yes, he's about to shoot you in the face. I actually made a ham sandwich while he was raising the gun.
Literally, with that ability, some say, well, I'm going to go draw my pistol. Actually, I picked up your pistol a split second ago. I have it in my hand. Damn.
I have all the bullets here.
Coupled with that, with majesty and celerity, is Auspex, the ability to see beyond the veil.
So it's 3 clans now that we've talked about that have Auspex.
I think Tremere is the only one that...
Was Tremere? Yeah, you're right. Tremere and now Toreador.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking that Venture have Auspex too.
No. That was
talked about that already.
There was the subclan, yeah. The
subclan.
Valkavian subclan had Auspex in Requiem. But yeah, Auspex, as we talked in Tremere, is the ability to see beyond the veil, get premonition, see into the future, scry, clairvoyance, telepathy, all the abilities that kind of fall into that category. So you basically have a clan full of highly agile, beautiful, all-seeing people who can basically draw all the attention in the room towards them. Could ever go wrong. Where do you think a Toreador might be the most home within the Camarilla? Because let's be honest, there are Toreador attribute, but I mean, who's going to be caught dead in the Sabbat?
Oh, terrible. So blasé.
Yeah, right where the action is. It's all the social scene.
They'd have to be the center of attention. The one that's kind of, all eyes on me, so I can tell you what the deal is.
Seems like there are a couple roles that fulfill that quite easily. The Harpy, the social face of the Camarilla's prince, and then also Keepers of Elysium. That is like Toreador. The ability to choose a haughty, well-decorated place and force everybody to see you on your terms.
Oh, yes.
It's a wonderful thing. See, that is the Clan of Roses. There is... So, speaking of, let's talk about the few that do decide to... Because let's be honest, the Venture and the Toreador are essentially the heart of the Camarilla. The Nosferatu and the Tremere are like, they're kind of their muscle, but the almost every famous prince throughout history, most of them are part of either the Toreador or the Venture. And the ones that have in the fancy places that you like to go vacation, those are the Toreador. It's the Venice,
Right.
Yeah, the oldest
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, you gotta airbrush those ski-doos.
Yep, that's right.
That's an art.
That's Jethro. He handles that.
It's a swamp art.
Comes from a long line of Toreadors dating all the way back to ancient Greece.
So what does Jethro do? I stuff gators.
I stuff gators.
And sometimes I put some pretty dresses. It's an art.
That's the most beautiful gator I ever saw. I'd like to take that gator home and marry it.
My gosh. That's all. What if this the Toreador with just like the obsession over like a really bad arts and crafts instead of art?
You work with what you got.
Isn't it though that the Toreador tend to favor, or at least in the general Toreador tend to favor well accepted, well established forms of art, as opposed to, say, cooking wouldn't necessarily be considered one, but
I'm just saying, you're talking about down south. I'm just thinking that a Toreador comes in like Mama June and her like dollar store plates where she puts little smiley cats on them. They're a Toreador.
I mean, man, I'm seeing that campaign take shape. I really hate to say it, but like it would really be something to do, like the swamp people version of vampire.
It's the Floridor vampire.
Yeah.
The Floridor vampire is loaded with really good ideas right now.
Whatever Toreador went down there must have been close to torpor for this.
But I mean,
preemptively stake myself to ignore the suffering for the next 20 years.
But I mean, the same thing comes to mind though. Like, how can you judge what is art? You know, they could go down there. There is art that happens there. It's not traditional art, but it's things that they might still find beautiful. And if they're from that place, you know, because you can't tell me that some Ventrue didn't, or a Toreador didn't go to spring break, you know, and, you know, accidentally embrace, you know, some local gal, and, you know, she ends up going back home, and, you know, she's like, well, this is my life now. And, you know, she, you know, decides that, you know, taxidermy is really great, and, you know, stuffing gators is awesome. And hey, let's add some charm to that with the tutu and some makeup. And where's the squirrels? You know, like that'd be awesome. And then you throw in some Ventrue, because, you know, you gotta have some Ventrue, and that would be like, you know, the local politician, you know, walking around, the big fat guy, you know, with the fucking handkerchief. Yeah. He's got the handkerchief. He's always sweating and he's too hot, you know, but man, he sure talks nice, and everybody just kind of listens to him. And then you got the Nosferatu. Probably the most normal person.
Just everywhere.
He actually blends in better than everyone else, you know? Like, holy crap.
Everybody's just like, well, I got a cousin Jeb too.
They're all cousin Jeb.
Which, gosh. Wow.
That'd be great.
Note to self.
Oh, God. And I mean, the Tremere would just be some, you know, swamp witch doctor. I mean, they'd be the guy who's just like, oh, you're not feeling good? Here, drink these squirrel guts.
Yeah, no, they're straight up like the grandma from Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Like that's, yeah, I know.
Grandma Clampett.
Yeah, there's a side detail. There's a side detour that we just made. Like this really good idea. We're sorry, listeners. You may be hearing this down the road, because this
might be a
good
thing.
This is wow. Right. Well,
I mean, then you got the gangrels, the guys that are flying around on the swamp boats.
Yeah, exactly. They're like going
They're
out.
the hunters.
They're like, oh man, I got like 3 pythons a night. That's a good $20 right there. That's honest work.
That's absolutely right.
Elder Toreadors weep.
Well, like I envision if you're going to play in a place like this, you're basically going to have to play a big city.
Mhm.
So you're going to probably pick something like Miami or like Orlando.
Yeah.
So you're going to play something that does actually have a nightclub. And so you have a lot of like Spanish influence, you know. So you do have Toreador who are like surrounded by all the glitz and glam of like the strip in Miami. And yeah, they're probably horrified at like what their cousins on the swamp are doing. But like, that's really funny that both are part of the same.
Right. I mean, you kind of have to suspend that belief a little bit and just be like, some things happened and that's why they're like that.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not traditionally what you'd expect from those clans, but that's just life down here in the swamp.
It's just that one Toreador that is shunned in the nightclub.
I mean, really, what? So you could have that. You have that Toreador that is shunned from all major, high class cities. And they're like, well, where do I go? It's like, you go to Florida. Like that's just where all the outcasts
I do
go.
think the Toreador in Miami that's shunned is the Toreador in the nightclub.
Yeah.
I think all the other ones are just like, oh, that's just not what you do down here. That's not, it's not.
It's like the young Toreadors that go down there and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to hit the club. And the older ones are just like, no, you don't.
But they're all like, like you said it before, they're all like washed out, like spring breakers that just got stuck there.
Absolutely.
And they can't figure out their way to get back up.
The only time they really feel alive again is next spring break.
Like, I think I'm in a club. It's weird. I started switching drinks. This mojito doesn't hit the way it used to.
It sucks so much though, because you're gonna have some of them that were turned in like the 80s and the 90s, and they're still gonna have that look. I mean, they could change their clothes and everything, but the same haircut and everything, the big hair.
Oh my gosh! So the prince walks in with like, there's an acid wash jeans and just like hypercolor shirt, and it's got like the denim jacket flipped up. It just thinks they're the coolest thing in the world. Oh my god, this writes itself. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Miami nights.
That's Miami by night. That's really good, man. All right. I'm sure that's
no one can have that.
Yeah, we're taking this. This is all ours. You'll hear from this. Start calling in people and make characters a little bit sooner than we thought. Yes. All right, let's try to get back on track because that was okay. So we were talking about the Toreador and Titribute.
Yeah,
that's what we brought up. So what are their dark cousins? The Toreador on the other side of the political divide look like. So they
probably look just like the ones that are in the Camarilla.
Much like the Nosferatu, the mirror of political ideologies doesn't change the outward appearance so much. So they are the beautiful Sabbat, but their insides are a little bit twisted and warped, and they often lose themselves in the beauty of suffering. Yeah, so a little dark Eldar.
Okay.
Much like their Camarilla siblings lose themselves to watching a beautiful painting, they lose themselves to watching people suffer.
I can get behind that.
So this time we do have a notable Toreador to talk about.
Okay.
An ancient member of the Toreador clan, one of the most powerful active Methuselahs in modern day knights.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually really interesting.
Her feud with the Brujah Methuselah Manela has reached legendary proportions over the course of centuries. She used to lie in torpor beneath the Succubus Club in Chicago until she awoke in 1990. She then assumed the guise of Portia, a Toreador neonate, and a regular at the Succubus Club until the War of Chicago destroyed both the club and her pawn, Prince Lodin. Her descendants have occupied key positions with the Camarilla, like Francois Villon and Madame Guile, as well as the Sabbat, like Melinda Galbraith.
These are all names I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That was me reading a chunk, explaining it. So, who else are we talking about other than Helena of Troy?
Oh, whoa.
So even before her embrace, she was regarded as one of the most beautiful women to have ever lived. She lived in Argos of Mycenae. That's weird. The most beloved daughter of the king until she met her future husband Minos, who was withered and ugly.
Oh.
Desperate, she ran away from home, taking only a single handmaiden with her. When she had collapsed from exhaustion, she found a prince of Asia Minor, Prius, who matched her beauty, and the two immediately fell in love. Lovely story.
Where did it go horribly wrong?
Well, it turns out that Minos was not a human, so you don't go running from a kindred. And as Minos effortlessly defeated the prince and took Helena back with him, he fed her in a slow and agonizing way to punish her. Fed from her. And then embraced her at the end. And of course, his greatest punishment was supposed to be to lock her up so that her first meal would be her own father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she seemed resigned to her fate, fueled by both the blood bond to Minos and powerful domination. But she, of course, found a way, as the Clan of Roses often does, to try to figure out a way out of this situation, and usurped by supping upon his heart blood. So she committed the sin of diablerie.
You know what? Worth it.
Yeah. So she took Prius, who did not want to become one of the damned. So instead she ghouled him to give him immortality. And they fled to Carthage.
Oh.
Nothing bad ever happened to Carthage.
No. I mean, whenever you look at history books, Carthage is always there.
It's great, you know?
It never falls.
So when the Punic Wars began, they kind of saw the writing on the wall. They basically went to the Romans and essentially spilled everything they knew about Carthage's defenses. Yeah. And let us just say that the Bruja Menel, let's just call him Menel, was a philosopher warrior and a general of Carthage, did not like this.
No, I wouldn't suspect he did.
Yeah, the lover's little tryst that led to the downfall of his little utopia there. So Menel basically decided to essentially spend the rest of eternity going after them. Like this is now his prey, and the two started a feud. So of course, where do you think the wonderful Helena fled to? A city that was not cursed in anywhere but Pompeii.
Okay, tell me how she caused the volcano to.
Well, it turns out that Menel knew a little bit of blood magic. And conjured a great spirit of fire to destroy the city. Fortunately, he lost control of the spirit and had to run away.
It happens.
Yeah. So Helena and Prius escaped, traveling to Egypt. And basically
Nothing bad happened there.
And for the next several millennia, basically they were, hopping from tragedy to tragedy throughout history.
Oh god.
So yeah, that is there's a pretty much chip off the old block for the Toreador clan. So yeah, I guess what type of people do you think would like to play Toreador?
People I find insufferable.
Some heat coming from across the table there.
No, I think anybody could do it. I mean, it's just the way that their clan comes off that seems insufferable.
I have to interject one point here because I know you'll like this.
Yeah.
In the old lore, the Toreador all clans have many, many bloodlines. And there's one bloodline that they have that happened to get a little bit of that Tamiche
razzle dazzle.
Yeah, in them, which allowed them access to a skill that essentially no one else from the Camarilla usually has. So they brought in the ability to flesh change, to craft the flesh. And you know what is the hallmark of that clan?
What? Wings? Wow.
Who would ever want to play a charisma-based character with? I was like, it feels like there's a certain player out there just rolling around in the night, really upset.
Had wings.
You picked the wrong version. I want to do the old version. Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
That's all right.
Anyway, there's some baseball there that doesn't need to. You don't need to
yeah, this will make sense to no one listening, so don't worry about it.
So anyway,
artists, theater kids.
Theater kids.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The whole cast of Critical Role would be Toreador. I don't think any of them would. They would just be like, oh, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
You need to spread the word of the TTRPG. What other parts of modern hobbies would the Toreador obsess over?
Comic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, movies and video games too. I mean, just
That's very interesting. You could definitely tell a story of an ancient Toreador stalking some artist who, you know, has succumbed to cancer or something on their deathbed, and like, you will write only for me, and I will have you.
Maybe that's what George R.R. Martin's waiting for.
Just putting it out there.
Patrick Rothfuss, we're looking at you.
My question is, you always have to like make the gamble.
No, he still would never write it.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I know.
He would just be like, I have so much more to do now.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. I gotta go swing from a chandelier somewhere.
Today. My thing is the greatest danger for that gamble of like, I am this artist and that my works are so great that naturally the kindred world has to come see me, is that one of two people, in my opinion, could show up. Well, I guess one of three. We could say that Nosferatu shows up to just destroy something beautiful. And the Toreador could show up to basically immortalize your craft. But the Venture could also show up just to see if they could get a hold of something that's about to be infinitely more valuable.
Yeah. True.
They're just like, oh, I'm going to take everything you have. I'm not changing events here. You're clearly going in the hole.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it just makes sense.
Wow, all their art mysteriously disappeared, and this is the last piece.
So the bidding starts at 15,000. So the Clan of Roses.
Roses got thorns.
They do. Roses do have thorns. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have to say about the Toreador. If you're interested in the clown,
Clown. Yes, they are clowns.
No.
Well, is clowning not a form of art?
Yeah. I prefer
You don't accept mimes.
I was gonna say I prefer mimes in that case.
Oh my gosh. That's okay. Interesting. It's the Malkavian or the Toreador, the mime.
Well, one's a puppet.
Clearly, that's the Nosferatu, because that's the most terrifying. Yeah. They didn't used to be one.
Yeah, wouldn't that be messed up if you're embraced to be, you know, a Nosferatu, and that is your final form? Is you constantly look like a clown? You're constantly, you know, white face paint, gigantic smile. You know, you're it.
This is just me.
Yeah.
Everything floats down here. Well, I mean, this basically brings us to the end of this dual kind of podcast with last week's episode, where we had the monsters within, and you could kind of call the Toreador the monsters, or the monsters without and the monsters within.
Yeah.
Maybe two different sides of the beauty coin. Maybe. I think they're definitely fascinating. You guys have any final wrap-up thoughts? Any little piece of interesting that you need to cast out into the digital void?
No, not really. I personally, I've never been interested in the Toreador as a clan to play, but I can see other people doing it. So don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy that's got his own opinions about stuff.
I mean, I like it. It's a base clan.
Find the call to the art stuff deep within the soul.
Oh yeah, but
I can see that spending an eternity slaving away in the back of the Warhammer shop. Oh, the paint must flow.
The paint cost. It says, "You're not good enough. Put it down and let someone else do it."
Maybe
show me some of your models sometime.
I might have to get a few more energy inks, but I'll take up with that effort. Well, with that, before this descends into debauchery, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.